Thank you. Welcome to the special and regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Pacifica. Today is Monday, June 9th, 2025. We had a closed session, which we'll hear about after our call to order. Ms. City Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilmember Wright.
Present.
Councilmember Espinosa.
Here.
Councilmember Beer.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bowles.
Here.
Mayor Beckmeyer.
Present. And I will read the land acknowledgement. The City of Pacifica acknowledges that we occupy the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. We honor the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples for their enduring commitment to Mother Earth. As indigenous protectors of this land and in accordance with their traditions, the Ramaytush Ohlone have never ceded, lost, nor forgotten their responsibilities as the caretakers of this place, as well as for all peoples who reside in their traditional territory. We affirm their sovereign rights as First Peoples and wish to pay our respects to the ancestors, elders, and relatives of the Ramaytush Ohlone peoples. And Mayor Pro Tem Bowles, would you lead us in the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Attorney, do we have a closed session report?
Yes, there is only one reportable action, and that in light of the risks posed by the executive orders issued by the U.S. administration, the City Council has voted to initiate litigation alongside jurisdictions such as the City and County of San Francisco, Santa Clara County, and numerous other agencies across the country. This legal effort seeks to prevent the federal government from penalizing sanctuary jurisdictions by withholding lawfully appropriated funds.
Thank you. All right, that brings us to our consent calendar. There are 6 items, items 1 through 6 on the consent calendar. I am reminding Mayor Pro Tem Bowles and myself that we will be recusing ourselves from the vote for item 6 due to a conflict of interest as we own real property within or near the fire hazard zones being considered, but we may remain in the room and on the dais so long as the matter is not contested. Did you get that, Kristen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm asking if any council members wish to pull items from consent.
I'd like to pull item 4.
Item 4, oops, I just lost my page. Okay, so we'll take up item 4 separately after items 1 through 6 minus item 4. We're going to have public comment on the consent items specifically, excluding item 4. That will have its own public comment period. So if there are any, I just got a new card, no. Is there anyone in the chamber who would like to speak on the consent items? And I have no cards on those. Seeing none, I'll ask Assistant City Clerk, anyone on the phone with their hand up? No. All right, then we'll bring it back to the council, and I'm ready for a motion.
I actually have one question on item 2.
Item 2.
Which are the
Oopsie.
minutes, or a comment?
Oh, okay, please go ahead. If you have a packet page
I do.
reference.
Packet page 32. The middle of the page, it says Mayor Pro Tem stated that she would love a presentation about what the RCD has learned, and that's about the bacterial counts in the creek and Lindemar Beach. And it says Mayor Beckmeyer agreed. but it doesn't mention other council members, and I'm pretty sure we had, I just want to clarify that pretty sure we had direction that at least 3 of us wanted that to come back as a presentation. I know Mary nodded.
Yeah.
So I just want to make sure that that is documented so that it's not lost.
Mayor Pro Tem Bowles, that was for the RCD presentation?
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'll make a note, City Clerk Coffey, for that amendment?
Yes.
Are there any other questions or comments on consent items not including number 4? All right,
I move to approve the consent item minus item 4 and with the corrections from Councilmember Bowles, Mayor Pro Tem Bowles.
Second.
please vote.
And for the consent calendar minus item number 4, with item number 2 as amended as read by Mayor Pro Tem Bowles, moved by Councilmember Beer and seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bowles, was the seconder?
Yes, I think so.
The vote passes.
Greg, sorry.
I did, but it's.
Oh, sorry.
Councilmember Wright.
Seconded by Councilmember Wright. The vote passes unanimously, noting that for item number 6, Mayor Beckmeyer and Mayor Pro Tem Bowles had recused, so that the vote for item number 6 is 3-0, with Bowles and Beckmeyer recused.
Thank you.
Can I just say one thing?
Please.
I see some new faces out there, so I just wanted you to know that you need to have a permit thing on your dashboard, and you can get them downstairs in the kind of lobby, whatever it is, downstairs. I just see new faces, and we don't want you guys to get tickets.
And I'll just jump on with that. If you want to speak on an item that's on our agenda tonight, when we come to that item, you would need to fill out a yellow card at the back of the room, and they'll bring it up here to us. If you have a general public comment on items not on the agenda, then you also fill out a yellow card, but those comments come at the beginning before we take up the deliberation items for tonight. Okay, returning to the consent agenda, we will take up item number 4, which is cancellation of the July 8th, 2025 City Council meeting.
No, 28.
I mean, July 28th, 2025.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Is that not what I
heard
said?
you say 8, but
Oy.
I might have.
July 28th, 2025. So we have staff that can comment, the city manager Woodhouse and city clerk Coffey.
Thank you, Mayor Beckmeyer and Vice Mayor Bowles and council members, Kevin Woodhouse, city manager. Before I presumed why it was pulled, there's an alternative in there to talk about potentially whether the council's interested in canceling the first meeting of August too, but I didn't want to presume with the reason you
Yeah.
pulled that.
Well, I can explain my reason and then let you talk.
Sure,
just,
yeah.
We have a lot coming up, and I'd like to go on vacation on the 28th of July too. So but what I want to understand, because we have short-term rentals, which need, a hearing and a second ordinance discussion, and then we have our housing element, which is, I guess we don't know exactly when it's coming on the agenda, but obviously these are both really important things in terms of, what we need to get done. And so I wanted a little bit more clarity if we're canceling a meeting, what the potential repercussions might be. And then, personally, I'm not sure canceling 2 meetings is an option at all, but anyway, those are my questions.
Yeah, I think the way I would summarize over the years, recognizing how other cities handle their summer recess, and combined with recognizing how busy and productive the city council has been with significant items, there are many cities that do take off 2 meetings. Some take them off, and this survey information is in the staff report. Some do take them off consecutively. Some might do one a month during the summer period for 2 months, and other cities as well just take one meeting off. There's a few cities that only have one meeting per month that don't take summer recess because they only have one meeting instead of two per month. So months ago, the idea came up about, does the council want to consider a second meeting break during the summer? And in the intervening time, certainly the agenda workload has gotten very busy with, numerous important items, and the council would need to consider that impact. As Vice Mayor Bowles mentioned, we have the STR ordinance that's coming back. We have the housing element that we're trying to complete, and there are other, items as well. And it could be the case that taking off both of those meetings, 2nd of July and the first meeting in August, would, create unnecessary delay. So those are some of the factors that would be involved in the council's deliberation about that. If the council, one alternative would be if the council said, well, this is a great idea, but maybe not this year, let's consider it for next year, or let's plan on it for next year. You could kind of direct that we build that in and, of course, make that decision later next year. But those would be the options.
We would need to have public comment. Did you want to say more before public comment, Mayor Pro Tem?
No, but it would be helpful, I know you've given us an agenda planner for you to kind of give an idea of the public of when the short-term rental ordinance and when the housing element might be coming to us, with or without these meeting closures.
Sure. Yeah. So right now, we're planning on the short-term rental ordinance coming back to the council at the July 14th meeting. The housing element is undetermined because it is going back to the Planning Commission at the beginning of July. So the earliest the housing element could come to council is the first meeting in August, or the second meeting in August if the first meeting in August were canceled. And we also have to be determined schedule on the final adoption of the Climate Action and Resiliency Plan. That might be as early as June 23rd, or it might be July 14th as well. Those are the main items, and then there's other items as well.
Thank you.
Is there public comment on this? I see no cards coming forward. Emily, nothing? No? All right, then we'll close public comment and bring it to council. Any discussion, council members? I don't have any lights on, but please feel free to speak.
I'd be happy to step in. I know, being married to a school teacher, the vacation in August is absolutely of no use to me because my wife is back to work by then. And I would not want to set a permanent precedence of doing things during times that we would preclude people that work in schools by always doing that August break, because it wouldn't offer them the ability to spend time with their family if they wanted to additionally serve with us. But that said, I don't care what you do to me. I do care what you would do to my spouse.
Mary?
Yeah, I don't think we need to take an August date off. We have a lot to do.
Councilmember Espinoza, did you have something to weigh in?
But this is in July, isn't it?
Yes, it's July the 28th, the second meeting of July.
Well, I think if we're going to schedule those other meetings, and I do need a break, to be honest. So,
Yeah, I'm okay taking off the 28th. There was talk that the short-term rental needs a second reading, and, if staff feels that needs to come earlier rather than in mid-August so that we can get onto the implementation of the new ordinance and all that has to happen before that, then maybe we could schedule a second a really quick other meeting in between, but otherwise, I'm okay taking off the one day, but not the two.
We're comfortable with the second reading adoption of the STR ordinance occurring the first meeting of August and still having time for that implementation.
For parcels or properties not in the coastal zone?
Correct, yeah, that's right.
And when you say the implementation, you're referring to the October permit renewal?
Correct. And as we've talked about previously, yeah, the ordinance would be effective for outside the coastal zone.
Got it.
And Councilmember Espinoza, just to be clear, I want January 28th off. I mean, July 28th off. But I just don't think we need an extra one in August.
No, we don't.
I would also like to state that taking this meeting is a break for council members, but it's also a break for staff. And I was having a conversation with the city manager once, and I thought, oh, so if we took 2 meetings off, then it would give people time for a longer vacation or alternative times for their vacation to spend time with their family. And he said, no, they don't actually take vacation. It's just not preparing for the council meeting and having not this in addition to everything else on their work plates. And it was a very interesting insight for me into what the workload of a city staff member is. So I want to also say July 28th is fine with me, but also acknowledge our staff in addition to the impact on city council members. So I think we're ready for a motion.
Sorry, I forget what motion we have to make.
Well, we have to take action to approve cancellation of the July 28th, 2025 regular city council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Did you get that, City Clerk Coffey? All right, please vote.
I'm waiting for one more light for a vote. Okay, there we go. And for item number 4, motion to cancel the July 28th regular meeting made by Councilmember Wright, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bowles, passes unanimously.
All right, very good, thank you. Now, this brings us to the portion of our agenda that is public comments for items not on the posted agenda. This portion of the agenda is available for the public to address the City Council on any issue that is not on the agenda. Any person wishing to address the council shall have 3 minutes. Comments on non-agendized items only, and on items that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. So with that, we'll get started, except for we're getting a bunch more cards. So if you don't need all 3 of your minutes, if other people say what you were going to say, if you can, indicate support for what that person said, et cetera. The first 3 people will be Larissa Vasserman, Rihanna Karstead, and Leanna Hren.
Oh, yes. Can we help her?
Thank you. Do you need help,
Yeah.
Emily?
Staff should be helping her, yeah.
Thank you so much.
And I don't know if you can push the screen down, Sarah? Was that possible? Or is it down as far as it can go? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Larissa Wasserman. I'm not a Pacifica resident. I live in the city of San Mateo. And yet I have deep ties to the Pacifica. I have been a member of the Pacifica Art Guild for more than 2 years, and Sanchez Art Center has become my home away from home now. Also, I'm a member of the most vulnerable part of the human society. I'm a disabled independent adult and has been for a long time. At times, my life seems unbearable, but my art and my ability to create and be part of the art shows and exhibitions at the Sanchez Art Center is keeping me going. When I searched for the art in Pacifica, I got this right away. Pacifica has a vibrant art scene, including the Sanchez Art Center and the Art Guild of Pacifica, which have been integral to the community for decades. I can give you many reasons why community and public art plays such an important role in urban development and infrastructure, especially in small towns. But I would like to focus on something that became a vital issue in San Mateo County and everywhere else for that matter. The county's Board of Supervisors passed a resolution that declared loneliness a public health crisis and pledged to explore measures that promote social connection in the community. It's the first county in the United States to make such a declaration. Awareness of the negative impacts of loneliness has been growing in recent years. Social isolation is tied to higher mortality rates, according to the UCSF study, and U.S. Surgeon General Dr. Vivek Murthy issued, I have a little bit more.
You have 1 minute left. That's just
An
a one.
advisory that declared that social disconnection increased the risk of premature death as much as smoking up to 15 cigarettes a day. A study from Cigna found that more than 60% of Americans are lonely. I'm a senior and don't have a family. I live alone with occasional help from my caregiver. But I don't feel lonely because I'm part of the art community in Pacifica, and Sanchez Art Center is giving me all the opportunities to be connected with others. A lot of our artists and patrons are also belong to senior population, which is steadily growing in the U.S. Removing Site 23, which is Sanchez Art Center, is a very thoughtless and ill-considered proposition, which will make a lot of these people feeling lonely, depressed, sad, and socially isolated.
Thank you very much.
I have just one more.
No, we'll be having the next speaker.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You can email us your full comments.
Which is Rihanna Karstad.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Fantastic. So I am here tonight on behalf of the FogFest organizing group, and we are pretty happy to tell everyone that on this year's FogFest is going to be September 27th and 28th, Saturday and Sunday, of course. We are currently taking band applications for any interested parties, so make sure you get on the website. That would be pacificcoastfogfest.com, I believe. There's also going to be, in the lead up to FogFest, a really fun Battle of the Bands competition, and that will be occurring one Saturday per month all the way up till August. Again, interested bands in that can go ahead and apply on this online as well. The first competition will be this Saturday at Longboard Margarita Bar. Starts at 6 p.m. You can probably find more information on the website as well on that. But like I said, 6 p.m. at Longboard. Booth registrations are open. You can go to festivalproductions2.com for any interested parties, businesses, or organizations. There was a wait list last year. Do not delay in making your reservation. Community group signups are currently open, and that would be for nonprofit groups who wanted to sign up and volunteer their time to work FogFest. They can contact Kathy Johnson at coordinator@fogfest.org. We are also recruiting actively board members and interested parties to just become involved and help run the FogFest. It's a pretty large production, and we could use help at the board level, at the near board level, and beyond. Meetings are 6 p.m. every third Wednesday at the Community Center in Lindemar. If you're interested in getting involved, you can contact president@fogfest.org. The Fog Fest is something that is really important to Pacifica. It keeps it on the map, and we want to make sure that everyone in the San Francisco Bay Area and Pacifica is aware that it's going to happen again this year, and we hope that everyone joins us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Leanna Wren. How do you say your last name?
Wren.
Wren.
Yeah, Wren. It was close. Good evening, council members. Good evening, fellow Pacifica residents. My name's Leanna Wren. I am a 20-plus year high school teacher in the area. I'm also a parent, and I'm here on behalf of my fellow residents here from the Sharp Park neighborhood to address an RV situation. So I just want everyone to call to mind really quickly, including all of you, what if you had multiple RVs parked right in front of your home that you have been living in for many, many years? You cannot see within, but they can see outside. They do not pay to live in the area. And just imagine that you go out one day with your kids and you are pushing your stroller and you see them taking their lovely sewage and dumping it right out in the open, as well as sticking their tubes down your neighborhood drain system with their sewage just flowing right into our lovely Pacific Ocean. So my concern, as well as my fellow residents, is one, the zoning regulations and residential use compliance. This practice undermines the purpose of residential zoning, which is to maintain safe, stable, and regulated housing environments. The impact on homeowners. Homeowners in our neighborhood have made significant investments in their properties and comply with local regulations and taxes. The presence of long-term RV dwellings, which may not be subject to the same standards, creates an inequitable situation and can lead to decreased property values and quality of life. Furthermore, health and safety concerns. RVs used as permanent residences, not just parking there, but to reside in these areas. They may lack proper sanitation facilities, leading to potential health hazards. Additionally, the lack of oversight can result in safety concerns for our residents, especially in areas with children and vulnerable populations. So, allowing RVs to reside along public streets in our residential neighborhoods, particularly near schools like Oceana High School and the preschool there, is not only a threat to public safety, but also a direct disruption to community standards, livability, and fairness. These oversized vehicles obstruct visibility, they strain local infrastructure, and they introduce legitimate concerns around sanitation, noise, and child safety. Residents who pay taxes to uphold the integrity and quality of their neighborhoods should not have to bear this burden or the consequences of unregulated vehicle habitation. While compassionate solutions must be pursued for those facing housing insecurity, the answer is not to compromise the health, the safety, and character of our established communities. So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Please, excuse me. Thank you. We heard you, and we don't need that anymore. If you want to let us know, this is a good way. Thank you. Okay, I'm ready for, what happened to number 4, Christine? Oh, here. Joyce Toomey, Alberto Romero, and Paul Lavarini.
I brought my own timer, guys.
Well, our city clerk has a good one. When you hear the first ding dong, that means you have 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I won't use my thing then. Okay, I'm Joyce. I live on Paloma Avenue. I too am really concerned about the oversized vehicles, RVs on Paloma, East Paloma especially, because it is near a school. I don't understand when they did the city map how they put that street on there, only other than it being a wide enough street, but to have a school right a sidewalk away from it is just unbeknownst to me. Other than that, it's been on the list a while, and until Esplanade was closed down, we had no problems with people moving onto our street. We have recently had 3 RVs that are all owned by the same people, we found out, running a business out of there, as was already said, in the middle of Oceana and Oceana Preschool and Pomo Park Preschool. Along with that, I'd like to add that I'm 71 years old, and my parents moved here when I was 10. And in 1968, they bought a home on Paloma. And in all those years, I lived with them, and I moved away and moved back in 74. All these years I've lived here, I have never had to deal with this kind of stuff. We've had feces thrown at my neighbor right in front of their home. We've had a truck pull up and dump garbage and pull away just to do it. We've had people screaming at me when I have to park near these RVs and all of their vehicles, which is sometimes up to 35, 40 vehicles taking up our parking because they're running a business out of there. There's no way to prove any of this yet. Our police haven't been able to do so, but it's happening and it's affecting our lives. It's affecting our lives so bad that some of us are physically ill from it. Some of us have been taken through the meat wagon away because of it. I heard my 1 minute. So other than that, real quickly, I want to say from a friend of mine who's FBI, she checked into it. In Burlingame, by the Humane Society, they just got rid of a ton of RVs just by putting up nobody over 6 feet can park there, and they're all gone. Why can't we do that, especially on a school street? I don't understand. We've never had this before until Esplanade broke up, because even the RVers, I think, our street wasn't good, because it's on a hill, and it's by a school, so I think they even knew it wasn't appropriate. But now we've got some really aggressive people that are taking over that area, and they're making our life miserable, and they're making some of us very ill. And I really, really appreciate it if you, the city council, or whoever can do it, take at least that street off the oversized, because it's in the middle of school.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I have Alberto Romero, and then Paul Lavarini, and then Anthony Azzaro.
It's just Albert Romero. I don't know if somebody misspelled.
Albert Romero.
Thank you. Dear City Council members and attendees, something needs to be done ASAP with reference to Paloma Avenue. These RVs are abusing the 72-hour parking rule by moving their 22-foot RV a couple of feet, stating that they have moved, when in fact they essentially are taking the same space or spot or place by the remaining RV length. So a 22-foot RV moves 2 feet, they are still taking 20 feet of space. This is abuse of the law because of the ambiguity of the missing language not imposed in the ordinance code, city website, or the red tag placed as a warning to the owner's windshield. So we ask, in the meantime, have the RVs move at least 1/10 of a mile on your website and warning notice. Please expedite this so it can be adopted and modified ASAP. Many more RVs will be taking advantage of this flawed law, thus neighborhoods complaining, being stressed out, and overwhelming the police and resources because of the many nuances these RVs bring with them. Who are they? Where do they come from? Are they on the run? Are they predators? Are they thieves? Are they alcoholics? Or are they drug addicts? How long are they going to live here? Are they going to take advantage of the 72-hour law and not move? Are they watching, waiting for me to leave my home? Are they going to break into my cars and steal my property? I hear yelling at night. Is there a fight? Who knows? In my own situation, it has caused great stress with my wife and others who live in my street. People have had to go to the hospital already because of this related anxiety and stress. Our beautiful neighborhood is being taken over by RVs here on Paloma Avenue. I do not think you have any idea what is happening here on Paloma, especially around a school where children are playing and left alone. We do not know who are living in these vehicles, and they could be sexual predators from anywhere. There have been many police incidences where the police have been called already. Now, random garbage is showing up large amounts. This is getting worse almost every day. One RV owner stated he is going to tell all his drug-dealing, drug-addict RV friends to invade our neighborhood and terrorize us. It's hard to sleep knowing there's a mad, pissed-off stranger living in front of your house every day. People are scared, people are crying, people are desperate for help about this matter here on Paloma Avenue. Please expedite something to prevent more terror that has been brought upon us by the RV people. They are destroying our quiet neighborhood by having frequent visitors throughout the night, random hours in the middle of the night. Mischief is going on. Pacifica does not feel safe anymore, and people are debating about moving out. Currently, and coincidentally, 2 houses are for sale here on Paloma Avenue. Is it because of the RVs being here? Nevertheless, who would want to buy those properties when RVs are parked in front of them? Not me or you, no one would. And if they did, they sure wouldn't feel as though that RVs in front of their new home is the American dream. Please do something for the kids at the school, our community, and the neighborhood. Please fix this poor planning oversight situation, but this time include the social and economic factors along with the children at the school. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Paul Lavarini and then Anthony Azzaro.
Hello, Council. My name is Paul Laverny, former city employee of 28 years. Loved my job for the city of Pacifica here, Public Works. And I'm here also about the RVs on Paloma and throughout the city because I have dealt with it for 28 years. I've been spit at, I've been sworn at, I've been told my job, I'll never get anything done. I've been told that there's nothing we can do about it and the police can't do anything about it. And that's been a long time. So the verbal attacks on our neighbors, and threatening to bring in RVs, it's true. I'm watching it. I'm telling people to stay calm, don't give them any ammunition, take your pictures, document. That's what we can do. The problem I'm having now is the mistrust between the community and the police department. That's where it hurts me, because I'm with the city. I'm with the police department, I'm with Public Works, I'm with everybody. I've been here long enough. I understand what happens and what we have to do and what we can't say. So, throughout the whole place, there's garbage on the street. They have a service that comes to pump out their RVs so they can stay longer. The 72-hour notice on the RVs is basically a parking pass. There's a lot of things we could do. Yes, it's in front of a school. Yes, they have pets in their vehicles. I used to put wattles and stuff over the storm drains during the stormy season when I worked for Public Works. It worked. They couldn't dump, especially when it rained. So there's a lot of things we can do, but for the neighborhood and the community to get on each other and starting to argue amongst each other, that's not going to happen in Pacifica. I live here because we have a great community. I volunteer for all kinds of things. It's a great place to be. And I don't want that to break apart or the mistrust within the city and the PD department. The ordinance that they only have to move a few feet, that's not good enough. They're laughing at us. They're actually laughing, saying, you and the police can't do anything about it. And, and we can't. Make a move a few blocks, and you'll see 50% of the RVs will say, I'm done with this. I'm here to live and take advantage of this place. I'm not here to move around. Street sweeping. Our street sweepers sweep the middle of the street. If we had street sweeping, it's going to cost $7-8 million. I know, I was on that project. If we had street sweeping back, cars would have to move. All the stuff that's stuck between everybody's tires and stuck behind on the streets that are going down the storm drain, that'll all be cleaned up. We'll have new revenue for the city. Yeah, it's going to cost, but in the long run, we'll have a street sweeper that could deal with emergencies throughout the year. Public Work needed that. We had a great street sweeper at one time. But together as a community, I'm here because we're getting frustrated. And we're starting to attack each other and the police department. And my job is to make sure they stay calm and say the right things and don't go overboard. And that's what I'm here for.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Anthony Azzaro, Ava Nuevo, and Cindy Abbott.
My name is Anthony Azzaro. Good evening, council members. Good evening, staff and residents of the city. I went to school, middle school, all my years, and high school in Pacifica. I work for two construction companies, a residential and a commercial, that both develop and remodel and do work in this city. I've attended church here my whole life. In fact, I went to middle school and attended church and have gone to soccer games and swim meets and the like on that block that Paloma is on. So obviously I'm addressing the RV situation. And so, there has been, to my knowledge, a dead dog dumped in a neighbor's trash can out front of their house. And it costed the neighbor actually about $250 to dispose of it. That dog was reportedly dumped in there by one of these RV residents. It's my understanding that it is one individual who owns all 3 or 4 of these. Sometimes 4 is parked, sometimes only 3 are parked there. And they rent it out to individuals who actually have cars and drive here from other locations. And presumably, it's probably safe to say they have houses and other places that they live. And they drive here and live in these RVs and then occasionally park basically diagonally poking out into the street. So, I drive to work on that street. I have to go, it's not even legal to pass on a double yellow. I have to go and veer out to go around this RV that's basically sticking out in the street. It's not even big enough for my car when that happens. I've come to an understanding from a gentleman in my neighborhood who used to work in the police department here, that 72-hour regulation can actually be enforced more than it is currently being enforced. And I understand that the police department here is definitely capable of enforcing the law. I just saw somebody get pulled over right in front of the police department last night. So clearly there's a disconnect between those two things. There are soccer games that go on there. There's track meets. There's swim meets. There's 2 preschools in this area. There's a middle school and an elementary school on that block. And so basically, I think this should be taken as a message from the residents in this area and also attorneys in this area and people that work in this area and pay taxes in this area and own homes in this area, that something definitely has to be done about that, because from our perspective, which we have a pretty good sense of it, it definitely does not seem to be safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ava Nuevo, Cindy Abbott, and Lila Renero.
Good evening, City of Pacifica Council members. I'm probably going to end up reiterating what my fine neighbors have said before. So with regard to the presence of the RVs on Paloma Avenue between Oceana Boulevard and Sierra Avenue has raised ongoing concerns related to public safety and an increase in blitheness in the neighborhood. Regarding traffic safety in the area of Paloma and Sierra, the parked RVs significantly reduces visibility for vehicles exiting the parking lot of Oceana High School. These large RVs have created dangerous blind spots, making it extremely difficult for drivers to see traffic, as well as drivers coming from Paloma and Sierra. In addition, these blind spots put children riding their bicycles or walking in the area at greater risk. With regard to safety of schools, we have preschools, nurseries, and a high school. So there is an extreme concern among neighbors regarding possible sex offenders and drug users living in these RVs. There was an incident that already occurred where a neighbor walking their dog had passed by an RV where food was left out and the dog ate it before the owner could get to it. Shortly thereafter, the dog had to be taken to the emergency vet because the dog became seriously ill. There was an issue with regard to noise, double parking, and unfamiliar vehicles in the area, which created unease and potential security issues for residents. In addition, the neighbors have been confronted and threatened by these RV owners. With regard to trash and excrement accumulation, the buildup of litter around the parked RVs and evidence of excrement has added to the deterioration of the street's cleanliness and overall environment. This excrement will lead to biohazard waste due to present pathogens like bacteria, viruses, and parasites. And pathogens can cause serious illnesses if not properly handled or disposed of. Parking shortage for residents. RVs take up street parking, especially during school events such as swim meets, soccer games, and other community activities, making it difficult for residents and visitors to find parking. Also, there's a sign at the entrance of East Sharp Park, Oceana Paloma area that states no parking of large vehicles over 10,000 pounds in residential areas. However, the city is allowing RVs, which are estimated to be in excess of this weight, to park in the East Sharp Park area. We've also heard that the city is creating a bike lane on Esplanade Avenue, which will no longer allow RV parking. While this may have addressed one location's issues, this problem has now permeated into the residential neighborhood at the East Sharp Park on Paloma, creating new challenges. Paloma Avenue between Oceana Boulevard and Sierra is not a solution for RV parking. It is a residential high-traffic area that should prioritize safety. So I am requesting and urging that the city take action and prohibit RV parking on Paloma for the well-being of the schools, such as Pacifica Co-op Nursery School, Building Kids of Pacifica, Oceana High School,
Thank you.
and the East Sharp Park tax-paying residents.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Cindy Abbott, Lila Renero, Robin Renils.
Hello, I'm Cindy Abbott, and at this time I'm speaking as Executive Director of Sanchez Art Center. Last meeting, I presented you with a printout of public comments made to the Planning Commission. I hope that you read some of those. They included some of the sentiments that you heard tonight from Larissa Wasserman, who came all the way from San Mateo to share the value of art and the community that it creates, which is here in Pacifica and is even broader. We reach people from all over. This weekend, we enjoyed celebrating and seeing many of you at the Pride Festival, where Sanchez Art Center was there providing a hands-on art-making activity for everyone in the community. In the galleries, we had over 65 people in. They came from Washington State, Palo Alto, San Bruno, South San Francisco, the East Bay, as well as from Pacifica. And I didn't ask everybody where they were coming from, but that's just a few of them. Two prominent artists working in clay are currently showing in the main gallery, Maria Porges and Nancy Sullivan. Beautiful work, well-known artists. So much, in fact, their work is going to be videotaped while it's at Sanchez Art Center for a documentary, No Rules in Clay. Artists cherish this opportunity to be able to show their work, have it photographed and displayed and available for people. They're artists from the East Gallery who have taught at the California College of Arts for decades, and their work is here in Pacifica. We also worked on planning the pilot asphalt art project that is going to be in front of Terra Nova and Casa Pacifica that Sanchez Art Center is sponsoring for the community. It's going to provide traffic safety, particularly targeted at the seniors there in the community. And we started summer camps. And there were probably over 80 people in the concert hall on Saturday night enjoying live music. They were also from all over. So that wasn't an unusual week, but just wanted to give you a glimpse of a little bit of what happens here and the people that the Sanchez Art Center and Pacifica Center for the Arts brings to the community. So again, I'm asking you to do the right thing for the community and economic development and the city at large and San Mateo County, the whole Bay Area, and direct staff to create an amendment to remove Site 23 from the housing element. You know it's the right thing to do. You know we don't have valuable third spaces here in the city. You heard and you've supported the proclamation in San Mateo County about isolation. This is a place, that campus overall is a place people can come to and not be isolated. Thank you.
Thank you. Lila Renero, Robin Renils, Kendra Langer.
Good evening, Mayor Beckmeyer, council members, staff, and fellow Pacificans. You know I love my city, but Pacifica is kind of a hot mess right now. We have a lot of challenges that we need to face, and building more houses is not going to help us deal with most of our issues. Have we looked at pushing back on the state-mandated RHNA numbers? Our strained infrastructure cannot support 1,900 additional new housing units. We have sewer issues, and now we have many new parts of town, including the majority of Pedro Point, that are considered high and very high-risk fire zones. This is terrifying because of the lack of egress to support our current population. Who remembers the tsunami warning we had last year? Or how about the 2015 accident on Highway 1 by the golf course that had the southbound traffic completely cut off for several hours? We are not equipped to deal with a real emergency. God forbid we have a situation like Paradise or Pacific Palisades happen here. Meanwhile, we're still allowing short-term rentals to be used as full-time unhosted hotels. Currently, Airbnb has over 200 listings available for one-week stays in September. Is it possible to have the STR houses that are restored to actual homes that people live in full-time count towards the RHNA numbers? Additionally, we're allowing large developments of homes that won't even count towards the RHNA numbers. For example, the 24 units on Fassler named Pacifica Heights. These are not pretty to look at, and they're not selling. Units have been available since February. And while I'm all for affordable housing in Pacifica, developers have a loophole around building below market rate units. They can claim when they submit their plans that they will build the units to be offered BMR, yet they have an option to make in lieu payment as a workaround. And finally, we should not be considering putting housing in one of our city parks that would jeopardize our precious resources. That include soccer and baseball fields, our only dog park, and the Sanchez Art Center and its associated buildings and uses. I don't have the answers to these issues, but I thank you very much for your time to listen tonight.
Thank you. Robin Renils and Kendra Langer, and that is the last card. Kendra's is the last card that I have.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for hearing me tonight. I'm here with Rihanna, who was here as a board member, previously spoke for the Pacific Coast Fog Fest. And I, too, am a board member. I help with the parade. And I just wanted to emphasize that there's such a significant thing that the Fog Fest has done for 37 years for Pacifica, and that's put us on the map for the rest of the Bay Area. The Fog Fest plays a significant role in fostering community spirit and reinforcing the connections within Pacifica. Furthermore, it effectively maintains the city's visibility and presence among residents of the San Francisco Bay Area. For numerous local merchants, the increased revenue generated during Fog Fest is crucial for their financial stability throughout the year. There's so much more than just putting us on the map as a fun festival the last weekend when we have sun every September every year. The significance to not only the businesses, but for a community event for us to get together. There's people that we don't maybe see throughout the rest of the year, but when everyone comes down Saturday morning, especially with the crowds that come for the parade, you see lots of people that you know throughout the city, and it's a great thing. It's really a gathering place for the entire city. I also want to mention that the reminders have gone out to everyone that participated in the parade last year that we are having parade opening and registration again. It opens on July the 1st, closes August 31st. So we hope everyone remembers to come and register and get on the website for the parade. Also, the theme this year is Waves of Fun. So please come join us for all of that. The honorary Grand Marshal, and I'm so proud to announce this because we've done so many things in realization how much the city means and how much it does for everyone, because we are the city also. But we are honoring the Parks, Beaches, and Recreation Department this year. Scott Leslie is aware, and they are going to honor us by leading off the parade. And that the honorary Grand Marshal, because part of that is honoring our beaches also, a significant part, we're going to honor the Pacific Beach Coalition because there's so much that they have done to make sure that our beaches are clean and healthy and a great place for everyone to recreate, visitors and Pacificans alike. So, and then the contests. We have great contests for everyone who enters in Fog Fest. If you have the best float, there's a cash prize for that. There's also a mini float. Usually those are pulled by small children and made by kids. Best musical group, and then best costumed walking group. We have walking groups, and they're usually masses of, well, they used to get up to 100, but we try to hold it down at 50. But we have big groups of kids, so please come down, join us for Fog Fest. Thank you.
Thank you. Kendra Langer.
My name is Kendra, and I am not a member of Pacifica as far as where I live. I live over the hill in Broadmoor Village, but I find myself here quite often. And I like the ambiance. I like the assets that are here. I realize you have challenges, and I hope you can cope with them. But one of the things I do is volunteer here. And I use all of your resources like restaurants and go to your events. And when you think about the idea of taking out the concert hall and the art center that brings people here and allows them to know who you are, because it's a great little town. It's a wonderful place. If you get rid of the ability to see what this place is like, you're not going to have all of the people going to the restaurants and supporting you. Like I said, I volunteer. I volunteer at the Sanchez Adobe, and I volunteer at the concert hall. And I've been thinking about volunteering at other things because I enjoy the people. But I wouldn't be able to do that if I hadn't seen the concerts, gone to the art shows, gone to your new museum at Sanchez Adobe. So I'm not exactly sure. I think you said something about Area 23. I'm not sure about the terminology. But you have something extremely valuable here, and you shouldn't ruin it. And I'm hoping you're thinking about that. And that's basically what I have to say. Don't take out what you've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Did we get any more cards?
Mayor Beckmeyer, I think you may have a card for Brian Renero that wasn't called yet.
I do have a card for Brian Renero that says city budget, item number 4, but we concluded you really meant item number 7. So that item, that will be the next thing we get to after council communications, staff communications, and a short break. So yes, I do have your card. Thank you. Assistant City Clerk, do we have any people on the phone waiting to speak?
Yes, we have 2 raised hands. The first is for Dinah Verby.
Hi, Dinah, please go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm having trouble with my mute button. Thank you. I wanted to speak tonight about something that I just learned about, which is the notice of violation that the city sent to the developer of the 801 Fassler townhomes, because that developer is in violation of the inclusionary housing, affordable housing component of that project. And the reason I'm speaking about it is this has been a pet peeve of mine for a long time. The letter states that they are applying to get out of offering the affordable units by paying an in lieu fee into the housing fund. And I just wanted to say that I'm strongly opposed to that. I'm opposed in general to the concept of allowing developers to escape their obligations by letting them pay fees. I've never seen in lieu fees actually get an affordable unit built. And so I wanted to put in my voice early and loudly to say, please don't allow that to happen. And I'm hoping that there will be an agenda item in the near future where we might get a public report on the status of that project and what's going on with it. And that some questions will be answered. And by the way, there are actually 24 market rate units being advertised there. The letter from the city said there were only 10 units, but there are really 24, and 4 of them are supposed to be below market rate. So I'm hoping we'll get a report that will tell us what's going on with that. And to my knowledge, our housing fund has never been actually used to build affordable housing. Somebody please tell me if I'm wrong about that. And I don't believe that in lieu fees can help us meet our RENA allocation. Somebody please tell me if I'm wrong about that. And I'd like to know, what is the penalty for our not meeting our affordable unit allocations? And so I'm hoping also that you'll at some point consider changing our ordinance to disallow in lieu fees to be used instead of actually building and offering affordable below market rate units. And that will conclude my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The next raised hand is for MPAC.
MPAC.
MPACH.
Hi, my name's
Hello. I'm sorry, could you speak up, please, and state your name for the record?
It's Helena Patchaluk.
Helena Patchaluk. Please go ahead, Helena.
Hi, I live in East Sharp Park near Oceana High School, and I wanted to express my concern about the RVs on Paloma Avenue. I know there have been a couple there for well over a week, and they've been cited. They were given warnings and cited, and they haven't moved. And I do wonder, how in the long run we can achieve getting them to move. And I'm not going to repeat all the concerns that were already expressed by previous speakers, but I have the same concerns, and I want to ask, is it possible to have an anti-camping ordinance, or can certain streets be designated okay for RVs, streets that are not residential streets? Like I'm thinking of Lundy Way near the highway, near the archery range, for example, where there aren't houses, places like that. So I know that those two RVs that are currently on Paloma, on the east end of Paloma, have been cited, but I understand it would take like 6 citations before anything could be done about trying to get them to move. And how would that even happen with it being a sort of a home, not just strictly a vehicle that could be towed away? So just some questions I wanted to express. Thanks.
Thank you.
There is an additional raised hand for Clifford Lawrence.
Please go ahead, Cliff.
Okay. Hope you can hear me now.
Yes, we can.
I wanted to echo what Nancy Herby said about in lieu fees. I haven't seen where that's really been a productive alternative. It seems to be just a loophole, and we're missing out on any opportunity we have to really get below market rate housing here. And so I would hope that we would find a different answer to in lieu fees and just drop that idea. So thank you.
Thank you.
There are no other raised hands.
All right, thank you. And there are no more cards, so we will close public comment. And bring the agenda to the council for council communications. I think we used the clock last time, but maybe I just used my timer on my phone. Council members, recalling that we were going to try to keep our comments to 3 minutes or less. And for those who aren't aware, the purpose of council communications is for council members to inform each other of items of potential interest to other council members, such as interagency meetings, things that we want to bring to each other's attention. Sometimes there are public events that we want to make sure the public knows about as well. I have no lights. Who would like to go first?
I'd be happy to go first, since I'm probably going to take the least amount of time.
Thank you.
The last time during council communications, I took the time to count up all the boards, committees, commissions, and council, of course, that I'm on. The number I came up to was 16, just so that the residents understand how much time goes into this job, except I forgot one. There's an additional subcommittee I serve on with Mary, so that makes it 17. So too numerous to go into details on those in 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, I'm going to take the floor.
No, you don't get his time. But you get 3 minutes. Go.
I'll get 1 minute.
Okay.
Today is the June the 9th. So it is just 6 months since Greg and I became council. So I just remember, that was something that came to my mind this morning. And it has been like, not 6 months, but like 4 years already. And we are learning a lot. And this is a big commitment for me, especially. I'm going to talk for me. And this is a challenge. And I do want people to see what we do here. It's very difficult to make decisions here. And I want people to realize that we care for everybody. We care for your issues or whatever you come and talk to us. And I want to thank all of you guys for your help. I feel that this is a great city council. I really feel that way. We are all different, but I think we bring something to the community that I hope everyone appreciate. Thank you so much. Buenas noches.
Thank you.
I can go. I remember when I hit my 6 months, and it was so overwhelming, and I thought, I'm an eighth of the way done. And here we go, and there's more work, and there's more work that we want to accomplish, right? And we can't always do what we wish we could do for everyone in the community. There are limitations, there are laws, there are staff constraints. Anyway, I did want to talk about some of our meetings because there are a lot of things going on regionally. The airport roundtable, I just wanted to mention, the airport's actually looking at an expansion. There's a lot of upset cities because they have not done a lot of outreach about their EIR and the impacts. San Francisco's never at our table in our meetings, and since the election, the FAA hasn't been at our table in our meetings either. We finally had someone come at the last meeting, but they weren't ready to take any questions or try to work with us. This is a group that's really working to lower airport noise impacts in communities, and it's been really bad on the north end of town. I don't know the rest of the town the last few months. The FAA was supposed to work on expanding the night hush program, which right now only limits flights from 1 to 5 a.m. And that was supposed to come to us last summer, and there's still no information. But if you have a complaint, it's important to log it, so stopjetnoise.net is the app to do that. Apropos of tonight's meeting and our budget discussions, I wanted to share that I've been having a few meetings with One Shoreline, with the director, Lynn Matterman, and talking with Mayor Beckmeyer and Kevin Woodhouse about this too, about getting them trying to be involved in certain projects in Pacifica. And there is a lot of interest, and we're looking at talking about a few things that are already identified in our capital improvement projects. So, and then related to that, Mayor Beckmeyer and I were both on a call with the Coastal Conservancy about grants last week. There's $10 billion. I mean, the federal government's not giving us anything. They've taken the $50 million away for the seawall that we're applying for. But fortunately, the voters of California approved a 10 million bond for climate projects. And so, anyway, and a lot of that will be managed through the Coastal Conservancy. So we're actively looking for money that, we're not being handed otherwise in the avenues that we've tried in the past. And then I just want to congratulate Councilmember Muir on her San Mateo Leadership County graduation, which was such a fun event and such a great group building partnerships among public officials, nonprofits, and businesses all across San Mateo County. So, bravo to you.
Good job. Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna mention that. So thank you for being there, Christine. Thank you for encouraging me to participate in the San Mateo County Leadership Council, and I want to thank the City of Pacifica for the opportunity, for providing me with the opportunity. It was a really wonderful experience, and I wasn't quite sure going in, like, how it was going to relate to city, functions, but it does, because the relationships that I created across the region has just been incredible. And so it was a really wonderful experience. So thank you so much for that. And I want to thank everybody who showed up at Pride. I want to thank the Pride planning team, especially Lauren Smith, and everybody else who took so much time out to plan such a great event. It was joyous from start to finish. I want to also give a little shout out to Kathy Alderman. Did I say her last name?
Alderson.
Alderson, thank you. The principal at Ingrid B. Lacey, because when we got there to start setting things up, the janitor wasn't there. He was very late. And so I was able to call her, and she came down on a Saturday with her keys, and she opened up everything. And we could not have done it without her. So thank you so much, Kathy. We really, really appreciate you. I think I want to just say a little bit about the closed session report. Is that okay for me to do, City Attorney? So yeah, there have been executive orders by the federal government that raise. I'm going to read our talking points, because I think it's really important that you hear them. 3 recent executive orders by the federal government have raised significant concerns for the safety and financial well-being of the City of Pacifica due to their threat of withholding federal funds from jurisdictions deemed sanctuary jurisdictions. The city back in 2017 adopted an ordinance affirming its status as a sanctuary city. The ordinance prohibits the use of local resources and personnel to carry out federal civil immigration enforcement and is consistent with Senate Bill 54, which restricts the involvement of state and local agencies in federal immigration enforcement efforts. These orders place an immediate risk of approximately $12.9 million in federal funding that has been awarded or pledged to the city for essential services, including public safety, infrastructure, disaster relief, and community planning. Critically, this includes funding for programs that serve our most vulnerable populations, such as senior transportation, Meals on Wheels, and child care support. These executive orders could also jeopardize future funding, causing immediate and irreparable harm to critical local programs and safety operations. So in light of these risks posed by these executive orders, the City Council has voted to join litigation alongside jurisdictions such as the City and County of San Francisco, Santa Clara County, and numerous others across the county. The legal effort seeks to prevent the federal government from penalizing sanctuary jurisdictions by withholding lawfully appropriated funds. And I told my colleagues when I walk into the building that I work at, there's a big giant sign in the corner, and it says, "Bullies, see something, say something." It's not a time for us to be quiet. It just absolutely is not. And so I'm proud of this action that we're taking, and I want to thank our city attorney's office, and that's it for me.
Thank you. I don't have a lot to report. I'm sure I'm forgetting something really important that I'll go, oh, I'm sorry, City Manager, I need some of your time back. But I did want to say that there was a report of a child being harmed at the beach by stepping on a hot rock, which came from a fire, which are illegal at Lindemar Beach. And I think everybody in this room knows that. The concern I have is that it's people who don't live here that are coming and building fires. So I wanted to alert you to that issue, and if you've heard about it, let folks know that staff is talking about it, Parks, Beaches, and Recreation is talking about it, and I think the Parks, Beaches, and Recreation Commission Safety Committee might be talking about increased efforts to get the word out about no fires on the beach. In addition, I would like to say that to all the people from Paloma who may or may not still be in the room, we hear you. We understand the issues. This is not the first time we've dealt with this. It's the first time it's happened in your neighborhood. And I'm actively working with staff on this issue. I can't speak for my council members because we don't talk about these things in between time, given that if an ordinance change is coming before us, it's something that we're going to have to hash out here at the dais together. But I want you to hear me. We hear you, and we are doing what we can do right now. And more to come on that, but this is not the end of this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue.
I'm done. Please, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Kevin Woodhouse, City Manager. I just have one quick announcement, and it's, I may have mentioned this before, I don't recall, but it's worth repeating. I want to give a shout out to the Public Works team for 2 recent awards that were received by the American Public Works Association Silicon Valley chapter. And that is awards of excellence for the Anza Pump Station Repair Project, and that falls into the disaster or emergency repair category, and also for the Civic Center project, which falls into the historical restoration preservation project. So both were very large projects that the city endeavored recently and took many years on both of them, and they're recognized by the Silicon Valley chapter of APWA. So hats off to the Public Works team, and I think we have at least our Deputy Public Works Director, City Engineer Roland Yip here, and our new Public Works Director, Melissa Tigbau here as well, and perhaps others, but that's all I wanted to announce.
Congratulations, that's fantastic. Go ahead.
Melissa wasn't here before, maybe, right? We haven't introduced.
She was introduced at the last council meeting, but
I missed her. I was remembering her being introduced at the Planning Commission. You snuck out. I didn't get to meet you yet. So.
yeah. So thank you, Public Works, for all your efforts. Keeping our city functioning is a constant challenge for you, I know, but it's the above and beyond that really puts us on the map. So appreciate all that you do. All right. Are you saying you would like a short break before we take up item 7? Yes. I would like one. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. We'll come back at 8:26.
Recording in progress.
Fiscal year 2025-26 recommended budget program options. will be reviewing and discussing fiscal year 2025-26, proposed general fund and other funds budget, and provide additional policy direction on desired budget options and strategies for the upcoming budget. Our staff members for the presentation will be the city manager to kick it off, Assistant City Manager Yulia Carter, and Marisol Gomez, our Administrative Services and Finance Director. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Vice Mayor, Council members, Kevin Woodhouse, City Manager. I'm going to kick this off very briefly with some high-level comments, and we're pleased to be at this point in time in our budget development for this year with this recommended budget to you. I believe this is the 8th budget for Pacifica that I've worked on, and every year has been challenging for different reasons, and every year varies a little bit. I will say that in reflecting back, I do feel like this year is one of the most challenging years, and I think that part of the challenge, and you'll hear and see a lot of services that we can't fund this year, and I think one of the challenges is sort of the exacerbation of our financial challenges and our long-term financial stability over the years. Every year we balance the budget prudently. Every year up to now, we've done certain enhancements, be it in staffing or a little bit of capital dollars to augment our street paving program or what have you. And this is really a bare bones year where, while we're not cutting services per se, we're deferring payment on, deferring funding for this year on certain services and things that we would like to do. And so I'm not happy to present that message to the council, but the bright side is that we have found many prudent ways to balance this budget, to maintain a good level of services, and as the council has directed through your budget strategies and your strategic plan, that we will really be looking into the future at what our future revenue generation strategies are and need to be to make Pacifica sustainable long-term. And so with that kickoff message, I'll turn it over to Ms. Carter to start off the presentation.
Thank you so much for this introduction, City Manager Woodhouse. So first slide in the presentation is today's agenda, what exactly we will be talking about. So we plan to do a little bit of refresher on the budget strategies that we presented in the previous study sessions. We'll talk about budget program options, general fund, balance structure and budgetary reserves. Then we spent most of the presentation talking about requests for the budget, all the program options, and also touch base on what is not included in the budget but was requested. A little bit about, well, two other requests kind of fit in a unique category on its own, and we'll offer alternative funding strategies to the council if the council wants to consider some additional fundings for the budget, and finish presentation with the review of the other funds. But first of all, where we are in the process, so you can see we are nearly at the finishing line here, so that's good news. So the bad news is that it's not the easy budget and not easy decisions for you to make today. But we are in the 5th public meeting related to the budget, and this process concludes with the formal adoption of the fiscal year 25-26 operating and capital budget, and all related resolutions at the next meeting on June 23rd, 2025. So today we are seeking for your final direction on the budget and consideration of those options that's before you. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of the budget options for the year, I just want to have a quick recap on the methodology and how we do the budget. So first of all, we establish the base. That's the base budget at the current level of services. In order to do this, we develop budget revenues and expenditure assumptions. Those assumptions may include medical and purse rates, some standard inflationary adjustments, salary savings if applicable, and things like that. And once we build this base budget, we determine whether we are running surplus or deficit. So once we determine this number and we presented it to you at the last study session, we actually did present the surplus, but again, at the cost of allocating XRF revenues in the general fund. So you may remember the figure of about $500,000. And once we determine whether we are in surplus or deficit, we go into discussion of decision options related to the budget for service level changes, whether it's enhancements or reductions if we are running deficit. So all departments developed and ranked their decision packages based on their priorities. And again, those budget forms are included in your attachments. They were presented to the city manager, and city manager ranked all citywide budget forms and decision packages based on his priorities. And again, kind of quick summary of those changes are presented in your attachment 1. And these items that highlighted in red, so this is the essence of today's discussion. And once, well, again, all these options are presented for you for approval or additional discussion. And once we receive your final direction about the budget, we'll include and build in it in the final budget that will be presented to you for adoption. Again, the budget that you see before you today is structurally balanced, but it does include some tough choices and may trigger some discussions on how you may want to approach some of the recommendations. Just very quickly, I want to recap the strategies that we already presented to you and received your direction. Again, as a recap, we did allocate access educational revenue funding in the general fund budget. That's the difference between the previously approved policy of splitting these revenues between the Housing Action Fund and Disaster Recovery Fund. But again, the general fund could really use the entire amount of these revenues in the general fund. So that's the strategy that we applied for the 25-26. The second strategy is more subtle, so that includes addressing financial uncertainties related to the VLF in lieu backfill payments from the state. So the issue is still up in the air. We recommended to council to allocate the portion of the unfunded portion of the general fund reserves as an assigned balance in case the state doesn't follow through on the applications. Again, the fiscal year 2024 backfill amount is $2.3 million. That's a quite significant amount of money. And just to clarify, we did fund these revenues and we heavily rely on those revenues for the upcoming budget, but we just set aside assigned designation in the fund balance just in case if things will not go as planned. And final strategy ties directly to the strategic plan and the goal-setting discussion that we had earlier this year about prioritizing revenue-generating development to enhance and strengthen our long-term financial base. Again, that strategy supports council goals, well, 2 of the council goals. And we'll talk about this a little bit later in the presentation. So with that, I want to turn it to Marisol to go over specific recommended options for the general fund.
Thank you. So we're going to go over some of the program options. The general fund has put forward, through the city manager's recommendation, 13 service requests. One of those is additional revenue requests, and the other 12 in the general fund are expenditure and program requests. So the next three slides will go over the general fund portion. So of the general fund portion, $820,700 is what's put forward as program options. The first one we'll start off with is the additional revenues. The Parks, Beaches, and Recreation Division is expecting their senior program services contract to have a net increase of $15,000. There's going to be more detail on all of these attachments, attachments 4 through 6 for the general fund and attachment 7 for the other programs. But that walks you through a little bit of the increase that they're projecting in the contract revenue that they received, offset with some increase to the senior program services, but it will net in an additional revenue of $15,000. The expenditure requests 1 through 12 are over the next couple slides, and we'll go through them briefly. But again, there's additional information and detail in the attachments. The departments worked on those attachments to explain the service enhancements that they're putting forward. So Shoreline Adaptation Program is a one-time funding program increase of $150,000. This is going to help to support the long-term shoreline adaptation planning, engagement, and technical analysis required by the LCLUP that was recently approved. District-based financing feasibility consulting is another one-time cost of $50,000. This cost is to have contract services to assess and provide implementation tools such as EIFD, Community Facility Districts, CFDs, and Climate Resilient Districts, CRDs, to help support the infrastructure. Again, this was that budget strategy 3 to help with enhancements in revenue, and this is putting towards funding and work items from the work plan. There's item 3 is an additional one-time cost of $100,000 for development impact and cost recovery study. That includes a citywide review of the comprehensive fee schedule, as well as updating our cost allocation plan, which includes a fully burdened hourly rate to help add some of that data analysis to the fee studies. This is also in the work plan. We're currently in RFP for this and hoping to select a vendor by July. Economic and Housing Development Reorganization. This is a reorganization of the Economic Development Division to include housing development, which is needed to support our housing goals and strategies. And again, this is outlined in detail in the attachment for this specific program, but this is a net decrease of $34,200, so an expenditure savings for this year in the general fund.
Sorry.
With the increase in the Housing Action Fund.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's not really a savings overall. So I think that needs to be explained. At some point.
And also, Marisol, can you move the mic a little closer?
Sure. Sorry about that.
Thank you so
Is that
much.
better?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the next program request is portable, police portable radio replacement. These radios the current ones are over 11 years old, and the cost is to be shared between the general fund, the risk management fund, and the supplemental law enforcement fund. So the cost to the general fund is a one-time cost of $75,000. The next one is the CARP, the Climate Adaptation and Resiliency Plan. This is also a one-time cost of $85,000. This portion of this program request will contains a part-time program manager and an 11-month Civic Spark Fellow to support the implementation of the climate goals and the CARP task force. Next, we have the triennial building code update of $15,000. This is a one-time cost. This is required to adopt the 2025 California Building Code by state mandated deadline of December 31st, 2025. So that's going to be completed within the next fiscal year. childcare staffing for the Parks, Beaches, and Recreation Department. This one is a net zero impact to the general fund. This is another one where the PBR department worked with the state to get additional resources into their contract, but offsetting those additional revenue resources with much needed increase in part-time childcare staffing. So again, that's an ongoing cost, but it's going to be net zero impact. The last four of the general fund, starting off with the LCLUP implementation and zoning ordinance update. This is a one-time cost of $70,000. It's going to help develop the overarching implementation plan and updates to the zoning regulations. Again, as per the requirements of the LCLUP. The library modernization project support is $50,000 ongoing. This request was to work into the base budget as ongoing to continue strategic communications and outreach regarding the library modernization project. The next one is the STR administration. It's going to be $75,000 ongoing. This covers the cost for the STR program administration, including tax compliance and annual code enforcement inspections following the recent ordinance changes for the SCR TOT program. The last one is a motor pool fund replenishment of $200,000 ongoing. You'll see that we have about $1.3 million in unfunded requests this year for vehicle replacements. You'll see that later on in the list of unfunded as well. So this one is, in particular, the $200,000 will not be going to any vehicle replacement this year, but what we're requesting is to put that $200,000 in the fund to help build up some balance in order to strategically look at the vehicle request and also allow for more time to find additional revenue resources or funding resources for some of the much needed vehicle replacements. Okay. The next slide, we're going to be going over budgetary reserves of the general fund. So with all those program changes incorporated, the surplus that you see here is $57,109. From the base budget, we had $557 as a surplus. Working in those program changes that you'll see more in detail in the attachments as well as the slides we just went over. Also, some of the changes that, some of the things incorporated, as we spoke about, the allocating excess ERAF in the general fund of $3.7 million. The additional one-time use of debt service fund of $600,000. What this does is provide an additional relief to the general fund this year. Last year, there was about $1.3 million in general fund relief from the debt service fund. This year, we're requesting in the proposed budget put forward $600,000 to help alleviate the bottom line in the general fund. As well as additional change in order to get us to a balanced budget was unfunding the annual contribution to the PARS Pension Trust. In the base budget, we put forward $214,700 allocation to the PARS Pension Trust in order to continue to meet our goal of accumulating towards paying down that pension liability. With the program choices that we put before you, we worked in to reverse that allocation in order to provide a balanced budget. As well as building in program efficiencies equivalent to 1% of the operating budget in each department's budget. This is non-personnel changes to the department's operating in order to further reduce the general fund requests to be able to balance the budget. The next slide will be going over the projected fund balance structure and budgetary reserves. For the proposed budget for 25-26 fiscal year, the unassigned fund balance with all the program options in there is amounting to $10.1 million. This comes out to be, excluding one-time transfers, 9.1% of the general fund operating expenditures. This is slightly less than the 3 months of regular operating, but more than the 2 months of the GFOA recommended structure for the unassigned fund balance and that comes out to 8.8 million. So the GFOA recommendation for the 2 months of operating comes out to 8.8 million, and we have 10.1 in unassigned fund balance. The structure you see here is the ending fund balance at the top incorporates the program changes, and those changes we discussed. But with the assigned and restricted portions, we have non-spendable amount of, which is at the end of the year, we have some accounts payable that we built in every year that are held up in encumbrances and things of that nature. Restricted for PARS pension, the $539,000 is the current balance of that fund. And then we have the breakdown of the assigned revenues. So the 10.1 million is outside of the budgetary policy for the 10% of expenditures that we keep for our budget shortfall for the 25-26 year. That is amounting to 5.3 million. And then I'll hand it back over to Assistant City Manager Yulia Carter to go over the next couple slides.
So over the next few slides, we show what's not in the budget. And again, due to competing demands and priorities, the city manager does not recommend the following general fund requests for 25-26. This is strictly due to limited resources and other competing priorities. Again, as Marisol mentioned, we really looked under each rock to balance this budget. So the total estimated cost for this unfunded request is about 1.6 million to general fund. You can see the vehicle replacement fund. The request of 1.3 million is the biggest chunk of it. We have a replacement schedule. All this fleet requests are on replacement schedule, and some of them are overdue already, but we unfortunately do not have the funds set up in the vehicle replacement fund, and general fund cannot accommodate this request in a single year as well. And this is why we are recommending setting up this different policy to replenish this fund with the 200,000 contribution in every year, if we can afford it, to actually build up the reserves. So down the road, we can afford replacement of the vehicles and equipment. So the next one is public works compliance training. So this is additional request to the training budget that we already have in place to meet some updated regulatory standards and compliance requirements. On this one, we really want to revisit this and look at it a little bit closer to see what are the demands, how we can optimize the priorities and budget, and leave the training budget as is for the upcoming year. Maybe revisit if we have to at mid-year, but not include the increase upfront in the budget. Human resources performance management system. So that is a request from HR department for rollout of a new citywide performance management and evaluation system. Again, the city does have that in place. The system is in place, but that's just a new way of looking at it and improving the standards. Again, the city manager is not included in the upcoming year budget at this point. Street light maintenance and HVAC improvements. Again, those are additional requests for increase of cost and of emergency repairs, electrical system upgrades at city facilities. This particular request might have to be reconsidered at mid-year, depending how it goes. But again, at this point, we are sticking with the base budget. All requests, well, the last two are requests for additional positions, one from IT department, another one from community development department. And again, that's not the year to ask for additional staff requests, so those requests remain unfunded as well. And as I mentioned, we may have to revisit some of these requests at mid-year, pending further analysis and refined cost estimates, and hopefully improved revenue conditions. But at this point, those requests are not in the budget. So the next slide is actually presenting kind of unique category kind of on its own. During the annual budget process, the city often receives requests from community organizations or other governmental, non-governmental organizations for financial support. We listed these two requests here that fall in the separate category. Neither one is included in the budget at this time. So the first one is a one shoreline request. The city has received a 3-year funding request for $120,000 to support regional efforts related to climate resiliency and sea level rise adaptation. All of this effort coordinated through the San Mateo County Flood and Sea Level Rise Resiliency District, also known as One Shoreline. So again, this is not included in the budget at this point, but if the council chooses to include it, the city manager recommends including only first year to actually evaluate the value for Pacifica's climate resilience priorities before deciding and committing to the future funding. The second request is from the Fog Fest. Again, I apologize. This PowerPoint says we have not received a request, but we actually did receive a request this afternoon, so we didn't have a chance to change the slide. So we did receive a request from Fog Fest for the city's contribution to support this annual community festival at the same level as last year, which was $25,000. But again, given the city's current fiscal condition, this funding is not included in the proposed budget at this time. But again, this is definitely Council's policy decision to discuss. And just for the reference, the recommended budget does include the other community organization funding, specifically Pacifica Resource Center at $100,000, Pacific Beach Coalition at $10,000, and Coastside Pride at $5,000. So those were in the budget, but Fog Fest was not. And we didn't want to bring you those demands without showing some potential policies that you may want to consider how to fund those if you choose to do that. So on this slide, you can see some alternative funding strategies that Council may want to consider. All of these are included in the current base budget, but again, if you choose to fund different options or different priorities, well, you may want to reconsider funding for this. So the first one is fire equipment fund allocation. Similar to what we are proposing with the vehicle replacement fund, we already have the system in place when we contribute $125,000 annually to this fund to prepare for future fire equipment replacement costs, including upcoming fire turnout gear replacement. So this one is scheduled for 27-28, and self-contained breathing apparatus replacement every 6 years. So those are the examples of what this fund is used for. And the second option would be OPEB trust contribution. So we mentioned earlier that the base budget included the contribution for the pension, unfunded liability, and OPEB based on our current policy. So in order to fund those options that we did include in the budget, we already eliminated the upcoming year's contribution to the pension trust, but OPEB trust contribution is still in the base budget, so that's 283,000. We didn't want to, well, between the OPEB and pension trust, we chose to sacrifice the pension trust contribution because it doesn't directly offset the city liability on the financial statement, while the OPEB trust contribution directly reduces our liability per audited financial statement that you will see in annual comprehensive financial report later on. So unfunding this would result in some increase in unfunded liability. And I want to highlight that all of these options are not great, so they all come with consequences, but these are the options to consider if you want to fund different programs. And the final one is, again, as I mentioned, the ERAF allocation in the general fund includes some funding of other non-governmental organizations like PRC, Pacific Beach Coalition, and Coast Pride. So 115,000 is still allocated towards these programs, and the council, again, as a policy decision, may choose to modify or redirect these allocations for the priorities if you desire. And that brings us to recommendations in other funds. So that concludes the general fund, but we have some recommendations related to other funds, and I'll turn it to Marisol again to go over those.
Thank you. So we just have a couple more slides to go over, as Assistant City Manager Carter mentioned. So the recommended budget options in the other funds contain these three. We have the Housing Action Fund 221. The request is a one-time request for $150,000 required under the Housing Element Program. HEI3, this effort will evaluate the feasibility of developing city-owned land to support future housing production. We have an additional request to the Housing Action Fund for on-call services for housing element implementation. That's an additional one-time $100,000 to help to provide technical and policy support to advance housing element implementation. I might also add that in reviewing the budgetary requests from the department, these costs were revised to show what is a more true projection of what's going to be expended in the 25-26 year. So it was already reduced from the original request after speaking to the department and working with the city manager. The last request for the other funds is a wastewater fund 518. This is a hurricane vacuum rental. This is an ongoing cost, but with a net zero impact to the enterprise fund 518. What this is a the rental of this equipment to help offset some of the reduction in overtime costs. This operational change improves efficiency in wastewater system management. There is more detail in the attachment. Again, other programs, other options for other funds is attachment 7. But this was an efficiency that the wastewater division felt that was needed to help with the ongoing maintenance and to reduce the overtime impact to account for the cost of the vacuum rental itself. For the next slide, we have just the fund balances summary for the general fund as well as the total other funds. The total other funds comes out to $25 million in the 25-26 proposed budget as put forward. Of course, any changes or direction that council provides will have impacts on the fund balance here, and we'll bring forward any updates to the June 23rd meeting. And that brings us to next steps. As we mentioned in the beginning for the budget timeline, we're at budget study session 3 here on June 9th. Taking your feedback on the program options and any other requests that you wish to incorporate. or discuss, and then bringing those updates or changes or revisions back on June 23rd for formal adoption, along with the citywide fee schedule and the capital budget. Thank you for listening to the presentation, and we're at the moment for council questions.
Thank you very much. Council members, does anyone have any clarifying questions on any of the information that was presented? I think Mayor Pro Tem Bowles, you had, I think, a comment or something about the housing fund?
Yeah, I was trying to do some math about the housing fund, because there's bits and pieces here and there about money that's proposed to be taken out of the housing fund. And so can you go over that again? Because, sorry, on like the total budget page, it was almost $1 million that it shows coming out of that fund, but I couldn't total that from all the different things. So could you just outline all of those? And I'll see if I can find the mention, that one page where I saw the $1 million. That's on page 77, I think. I think 77. Let me just pull it up and make sure that's the right page. Because, yeah, you said it was not an impact to the general fund budget, but it's, I mean, that's just our money that's in a different fund, right? It's still an impact to our overall finances, so that just seemed misleading to me.
So the budget forms actually go into specific details and impact on each individual fund. In the staff report, we separated general fund and other funds, so that's why it is presented this way. But now I can see how it could be confusing. So
yeah, and it is on page 77.
Okay.
Wait, is
So,
it? I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Let me find the page that I was referring to where I saw that we were taking out almost $1 million.
So packet page 92 is the portion of the housing activity that has to do with economic development reorganization.
Right.
And you'll see the more detailed breakdown there that shows the portion of what's hitting the general fund and what's hitting that housing action fund. As Assistant City Manager mentioned, we showed the sort of the net impact of the general fund in that section. So I apologize for not pulling that out and making that clearer, but page 92 will show a little bit more of that breakdown.
Page 92. Right, so that, I mean, that's just for the staff person, and then I think there was an error on that, right, in terms of the 60% and the 40% in the description.
In the description, yes, but the amounts are correct, so they should have been reversed. So the 72,000 represent the 40%, and 108 represents.
So it's the 60% for these economic development staff people for both, and then that totals. Sorry, and what's the total of that from the?
200 and, I'm doing math in my head, 246,000 roughly.
Okay, so that's 246,000, and that's just for 1 year, but the staff report also says that we might need this a second year.
Well, the limited term economic and housing development specialist is funded only for 1 year limited term. And the new economic and housing development manager is recommended for 2 years allocation to housing fund with the re-evaluation at that point. So staff completely recognizes that it's not sustainable source of revenues, and that's why the form has this discussion. So in 2 years, we are hoping to make significant progress on the revenue.
But that's not, okay, but that's not taken out of the total of the balance of the housing fund at this point, because that would come out next year.
It's included in your recommendation. So the number you quoted before, no, 1 year.
Just the 1 year, that's what I'm trying to clarify. So, okay, so it's 246,000. And then I have 150,000 for the master planning of public sites, and another 100,000 for the on-call planning services. So that's 250 plus about 250, so that's about 500,000, but what I saw was about $1 million being taken out. And that's what I wanted to clarify, if there's something else that I'm missing.
Yes, so those are program requests. So those ones are in addition to the base budget. So the Housing Action Fund already had a base budget where there was ongoing costs already attributed to that program, to that fund. So we have 50,000 in part-time salaries that are built into the base budget.
50,000 for what salary, sorry?
Part-time.
Part-time what salary? Have we seen that detailed base budget? I guess I don't remember seeing it.
Yes.
So that would be Civic Spark, I believe, fellow.
And then we have, built into the base budget, there's contractual services for 431,000.
And I'm sorry, what is that?
So those would be what was built into the base budget based on the current year of activity for that Housing Action Fund. I believe that includes we would have to go to the budget request for this year. Let me pull that up.
And what is the specific Spark Fellow for? What department? This isn't the Climate Action Plan, right? Because that you're
That
asking
would be Community Development Department, so maybe, well, Marisol is pulling up this current year's budget to see what's allocated there.
And then I know we approved money for the PRC for the Temporary Safe Parking Program. Is that out of that $1 million also, or is that part of last year's? And it was on page 106 that I found. That's $998,000 coming from the Housing Action Fund for this year proposed.
Yeah, I believe the PRC payment for the Temporary Safe Parking Program, 400-something thousand, is out of the Housing Action Fund to be paid this year. So that's probably part of
That
that
sounds right.
balance
Yeah,
reflected.
So that's,
The budget.
Yeah, we wanted to confirm this.
okay. Yeah, I mean, if you want to take your time to confirm it, I want to understand, because that's a huge total amount coming out of this fund. And I was also trying to go back to look at the definition of the fund and what the money was supposed to be used for.
I can answer that just generally. The council created the Housing Action Fund to be spent on activities related to developing housing in Pacifica. This was a strategy because housing was a primary priority in the strategic plan. I think either 2 years ago or just last year, I don't recall, but where we used to take all of the excess ERAFT money and fund the disaster accounting fund and some odds and ends here and there on different budget years. The strategy recommended was to split that and have this other housing action fund. It's completely a discretionary fund with really no strings tied to it other than what the council wants to prioritize, but the general direction is that it needs to support the development of housing in Pacifica. And so all the recommendations for using that money in this year's budget really directly relate to housing.
So, and I just, I think the council priority is affordable housing, not just housing. And what I found in the budget book, it was recommended to create a new housing action fund to develop affordable housing programs. So there is a distinction there that we can
That's
talk
right,
about
yeah. Thank you
outside
for
of-
that clarification. It's mostly focused on affordable housing, on all the housing element implementation actions are, be they programs or the work that the economic and housing program would pursue are going to mostly relate to affordable housing.
And then while you're still looking those things up, so I just wanted to make a point, and actually kind of ask a question, because as I appreciate you saying that this is our bare bones year, and we do have a lot of budget challenges. I guess my concern, and I'd love to hear your feedback, do you think next year is actually going to be any better? Or are we facing these challenges, really in the next few years until we develop some new income strategies that, will take some time to do? It applies to like taking money out of pensions and things like that, right?
Sure.
If this is becoming something that we're doing more long-term because we really just don't have the
Right. There's a lot of aspects of budgeting that are very difficult to predict from year to year. So it's hard to say, for example, how sales tax is going to be performing a year from now. Right now, it's down in Pacifica, it's down across the state generally. And so perhaps that will change. There could be other, revenue source changes. There could be increased assessed valuation of homes that come onto the market where property tax revenues are going to increase. So it's really difficult to predict year from year. Generally, I anticipate financial struggles for Pacifica for many years to come until more development and redevelopment occurs in Pacifica, which then will also drive more sales tax revenue for the city. So we are in a, dangling on that, downward spiral precipice, looking year by year on how we're going to balance the budget, yet do things that are going to focus on revenue generation for the city. And later in the summer, when the council holds a revenue generation study session and we present information, there's all kinds of other, is a new tax measure in the future of Pacifica to help sustain us, all kinds of other options. The development fee studies that you see in here are critical for, when things are actually built in Pacifica, then the development fee revenues go up. So there's a lot of mechanisms in there that I think it's difficult to predict 12 months from now where we'll be at. I think we'll still be struggling and still have a challenge, but it may not be to this degree, just like it wasn't to this degree last year.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
What other plans do we have other than relying on property taxes? Do we have any, is there anything else that we are planning to do?
Yes, I mean, the city is doing a significant amount of initiatives related to revenue generation, be they, marketing and sale of property for development for hotels, like this property is going through the Surplus Lands Act process now. There's a lot of economic